21 at counter 3.
Wow.
Talk DMV.
Shh.
I'm be out in the
Todo este parte de un plan. Esto es matarte con flow animal. Esto es para convertirte fan. Muévete al ritmo del bam, bidi bam. Bam, bidi bam, bidi bidi bam, bam.
Well, hello there, everybody. How are you doing today? This is Queen Mother for Queen Mother Speaks. You know, a very interesting thing is happening right now. I had this beautiful background for Queen Mother Speaks, and now I see Black History is back there still trying to come in to the game. So I won't have time to work on that right now because the show has actually started for today. Hello, I am Ella Dashanaba King, also known as Queen Mother, and I am your host for the Queen Mother Speak Show. We're so happy that you are here with us today. We're still in the first quarter of 2024, and guess what? We are in Women's History Month. That's right, this entire month. But this month also lends itself to something very special for Queen Mother. We're going to talk about that just a little later on in the show. I want you to know that even though we're in the first month, guess what? We have now finally come up with a theme for Queen Mother Speaks for this 2024 year. And the theme that we're going to use is the same theme as the UN Women's theme, which is invest in women, accelerate progress. Invest in women, accelerate progress. And therefore, this entire month of March, we will be talking about women who have invested in our society in one way or the other. And we're going to be talking about women from across the borders, not just women in Europe, not just women in America, but also women in Africa and other parts of the world during this month of Women's History Month. I'd like to give a shout out to Solo and Jennifer Sosu and Marilyn Lewis, who are all from Florida. Kathy King, Rosemary Johnson are now in Georgia. They were in Florida, but they found a lovely home in Georgia and they moved over there. Okay, Nana will be with us today, I understand, working the chat room. She's having some IT issues today, so she will be not coming into the studio. And Coach Ra just let me know a few minutes ago that she too will not be coming into the studio today. So if either one of them happen to drop in, it's a blessing. And I'm always happy to be with you. You know, when Queen Mother started this show back in, what was it, 2020, and when my co-host couldn't be on the show, or when we had a blackout, or when anything happened, I would just go nuts because I didn't have it all together in terms of what I was doing inside of technology and Facebook, and I would just go crazy. But now, come this July, we'll be 4 years into the game, and guess what? It's all right if they show up. If they don't show up, it's okay, because doing over these 3 years that we've been doing the show, we've certainly figured out how to do it. We're just delighted each and every time our co-hosts are on the show, and we're delighted each and every time that our hosts are also here on the show. So Ra hasn't come in, so I've invited some others to come into the studio today. I'm gonna bring him in so he can say hello to you. Here we go. All right.
Shalom, shalom. How y'all doing?
Thank you so much, Tabaka, for coming into the studio. Well, like I just stated, I found out about 5 minutes ago that Coach Ra wasn't going to be here, and Nana was having some IT trouble. So it's okay. So I reached out to Tabaka, and he's going to tell you about some of the things that happened this past week that we'll be talking about on the Queen Mother Speak show. We'll be coming back to you in a moment. Tabaka, thank you. We'll be back to you in a bit. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So I want to start out today by telling you to continue to wash your hands and stay safe. Stay safe. Not because the government said so, but because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. Now, you know, in pandemic, we started washing our hands like crazy. Great. Continue to do that. Okay. We thank you for tuning into the Queen Mother Speak show. It is a safe space for inspiration and expressions. Bonga Dada Bonga, which is a platform for women voices, will be coming back on air soon. And we're hoping to introduce a new show, which is called Changing Inclusive Perspectives, which is hosted by and run by people with disability. Again, thank you for tuning into the Queen Mother Speak show. We'd like to give a shout out to Jay Mwangi and you, Parita, Rose Okala, Maurice Obuya, and also Estelle from Kenya. What is Queen Mother Speaks? We are a community platform. And what we do on that platform is we seek to inspire, to engage, to inform, to bring you commentary and comments on newsworthy events. We also bring you words of inspiration, and we will bring you a quote, and we bring in elders who have wisdom to share with you on various topics. Every now and then, we will also do current events. It just depends on who we have on the show for that day. Now, from the Art of Living Institute, we had an online breathing session back in 2020 during pandemic. And from that time, we've incorporated breathing as a part of our everyday life. And so we introduced it into the Queen Mother Speak show, and we're asking you to also breathe with us. I'm going to bring, let's see, Tabaka's not there right now, but when he comes back, he's also a master at the art of breathing. So that's what we're going to do right now. And how we do that, we're going to breathe in to the count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to hold to the count of 6. And then we're going to exhale slowly to the count of 10. And you can exhale through your nose or through your mouth, whichever makes you feel good. We're going to do this breathing. I think today we're going to do 4. We normally do 1 or 2. Today, since the others are not in the studio, I'm going to indulge you to do 4 with me. I trust that's okay with you. Well, Tabaka's here. So we both are going to come in and get engaged with this breathing today. And we're getting ready to do our breathing for today. And how we do it, we breathe in to the count of 6. We hold to the count of 6. And then we exhale very slowly to the count of 10. And we do it either through our mouth or through our nose, whatever makes you feel good. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's go. 1, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Okay. Okay, let's do another one.
The boys got a ring worm?
6, 6, and 10. Let's go. 6.
Keep it dry. Don't put no oil on it yet.
Thank you. Again. 1, 6. Hold. Release. Okay, we'll try one more. And in. whole. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for engaging in the breathing exercise with me. And as we well know, breath is life and life is breath. And there's so many different ways that you can breathe. You can breathe to relieve stress. You can breathe if you're grieving. You can breathe even to feel good. You can breathe to get high if that's what you want to do, because the breath of life is good and it's good for you and it's good for you now and it's good for you always. So I trust that doing your breathing exercise today, that you touch your inner peace. Thank you again. So in this moment, we're going to go to our meditation reading. We normally go to one screen for that. We'll bring you back again to Baka. Thank you. Okay. So our reading for today is called I Rise. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the topic 3 times, and I want you to listen from your heart. I'm going to repeat it. You listen from your heart to the topic and also to the reading itself. And the topic is I rise. I rise. I rise. The call of life is on us now to rise up in God, to rise up in consciousness, to rise up, to rise up. As we rise, we are elevated by our choice to say yes to the call to rise up. Life is always calling us to be perfect, to have a perfect reflection of what is true and acceptable in the eyes of the Most High God. With faith, we rise to the invitation and we let life pave the way for us to travel individually and collectively. I rise. I rise in God. I rise in truth. I rise in love. I rise with the awareness that I am anchored in deep wisdom. I am connected to all that came before me and all that is yet to come. I rise in power. I rise in creativity. I rise and stand on the promises of God. Thank you, faith, in me, through me, as me, around me, through the Christ within. And so it is. The scripture reading for today is, Arise, shine, for your light is come, and the glory of the Lord shall rise upon you. That is Isaiah 16:1. So now in the month of March, we are invited to reflect on our spiritual path and realign our intentions. It encourages us to connect with the cycles of nature and tap into the energy of growth and regeneration. It's a time to cleanse our minds. March is a time to cleanse our bodies and our spirits and to embrace the transformative power of March. Speaking of embracing, and speaking of transformative and cleansing, this is the month of March, and before the month is over, I am considering going on another 21 day. You know, it was back in the month of October last year. The Queen Mother went on the 21 day with the I Am Well Holistic Group and had great results. And so now I've slacked a little bit. I'm not working out 5 days a week. I might do 4, I might do 3. But what I've learned to do is to not beat myself up for what I don't do, but to thank myself, praise myself for what I do, and continue to do something. All right, we were counting on Coach Ra to come in today and bring us the piece on BETTZ SHABAZZ. That's the piece she was going to do on invest in women and women of power. But she is not here today, and I know she wants to deliver that BETTZ SHABAZZ presentation for you. So Queen Mother's not going to touch it. We'll just hold it for another time. It may or may not happen next week, but we'll hold it for another time. We can always talk about women of power on the Queen Mother Speak show. So we won't do the BETTZ SHABAZZ presentation, but we're going to go away from there. And we're going to go over to talking about Women's History Month. And what are some of the other things that actually happens in the month of March? Okay. Women's History Month, we've talked about the theme, which is invest in women, accelerate growth. Invest in women, accelerate growth. No, it's invest in women, accelerate progress. I know that it should be accelerate progress, even though the script says growth. Queen Mother knows it should say progress. Okay, so during Women's History Month, we're celebrating women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. So the theme recognizes women throughout the country, and that's not just the country of Kenya, but I should say throughout the world, who understand that for us to have a positive future, we need to eliminate some of the biases and discrimination that we get in our lives. And we are the ones who bring the biases and discriminations into our lives. Women from every background have long since realized that we play on an uneven playing field. And for that, we still get out there and we still deal with the ball and we still kick and we still hit and we still punt. We still do all those things in spite all of the injustices that women have faced and all of the injustices that women have had to overcome from past even up until this very present day. Many feel the critical need to speak up and to work harder for fairness in our institutions and our social interactions. And I will say to you that in this 2024 year, everything is not fine for women anywhere in the world, but it's up to us to make the difference. It's up to us to make that change. And we make that change by working in the areas of our expertise. And we all have expertise in various areas, from being hairdressers to being artists, to being writers like Mama Zelda, all right, to being professors in the classroom like myself, to being healers like Queen Odessa. So just know that women, looks like Coach Ra is going to be joining us today. We'll go ahead and add her to the stage. Here we go. We're going to add everybody into the stage. Here we go. Okay, so you got finished.
No, but anyway, greetings and blessings. I'm not going to present because I'm not comfortable. I'm in the streets, and so I just came in to say hi. And, hey,
Thank you for that. She's greeting you, Tabaka. Unmute.
So the baby's in here screaming. I just got distracted. But
Tabaka, what's up, my brother?
Nothing. And by nothing, I mean everything. But
right.
Interesting the words we use.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting the words we use. Coach Ron, I will say you're looking very lovely today.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad that I get a photo right now. Day, and all is well.
Okay, you just hold right there. Let me see. Oh, wait, give me a pretty smile. I want to get that photo. Wow. You know, it's so interesting with us. We never know when we're going to be looking so cute. Ron, thank you for dropping into the studio. I had just explained to the listening audience that you may not be in, but thank you for stopping in. Go ahead and take care of your business. Tabaka and I will hold down the fort today.
Oh, I'm not hanging up. I'm here. Go ahead.
Oh, wonderful. Well, then we're going to go ahead. So I told them that we would not do the piece on Betty Shabazz today, but another day, and it may or may not be next week, but we will get around to doing that most important piece. Through the year 2024, we recognize the example of women who are committed to embracing everyone and excluding no one.
Yeah.
And excluding no one in our common quest for our freedom and opportunities. We know that people change, okay, with the help of families. We change with the help of having our teachers and our friends, and that in the young people in particular, they're the ones who we feel need to learn the value of hearing from voices from different points of view as they grow up. It's interesting, young people, and I'm sure I was the same way. We feel that we know it and we know it all, not realizing that our parents also passed through the same age as we did. Okay, so today, equity, diversity, and inclusion are powerful driving forces that women across the world are using to make an impact in the country, in the city, and in the state that they're in. As members of our various families, of our various civic groups and our community groups, our business groups, our legislative bodies, women are in the forefront of reevaluating the status quo. And we evaluate it all the time and every day in every way. We're looking at a new way of what are some of the harmful things in social policies and behaviors that exist that often determine our very future. We don't want these things to, but in response to women in communities across the nation who are helping to develop many innovative programs and projects for people around the world. Some of those women we will hear from during the month of March, during Women's History Month on the Queen Mother Speaks show. Women are doing projects in corporations, the military. They're working in federal agencies, educational organizations, trying to address all different kinds of injustices that we've had to face. And it takes courage. It does. It takes courage for our women to advocate for our goals. It takes courage for our women to advocate in diversity. It takes courage for our women to advocate in areas of inclusion, especially when they're establishing forces to aim at changing some of the misinformation about women. Changes looked at changing some of the misinformation about inclusion where women are concerned. And I don't mean necessarily women who are people with disabilities. I'm talking women being included in areas where heretofore we have not been included. Following decades of discrimination, we're proud to celebrate women this month who have something to say, who have something to do, and who indeed have done quite a bit. All right. So now we were going to hear from Nana, who was going to talk about the effects of or the trauma that slavery has had on all of us. And once again, a very important presentation, and we won't touch it. We will leave it and we will get to it another time. It may or may not happen next week, but it will happen at some particular time in history. So right now, what I want to go to talk with you about is Women's History Month as I have experienced it, as you have experienced it over not only just the 2024 year, but also in years past. You know what happened to me this year? For the first time, I realized that my birthday was also in Women's History Month. I mean, it's always been in Women's History Month ever since Women's History Month came into existence, but Queen Mother was in existence before Women's History Month. But for some reason, this year, I got to understand that my birthday is in Women's History Month. So what we did here in the wonderful city of Nairobi, we combined Women's History Month program, we combined Queen Mother's birthday, and we combined a fundraiser for the Ghana flood victims all into one. So on Sunday, the 10th of March, we had a beautiful celebration here in Nairobi at the Soul Vegetarian Restaurant. Soul Vegetarian Restaurant, and that is SOUL Vegetarian Restaurant. And what I want you to know is Soul Vegetarian partner with us for Women's History Month to host the event at the restaurant. So what we did there is we offered just small, how shall I call it, bitings, they say in Kenya. They call it bitings. In America, I think we might use the word appetizer. So we presented small little appetizers for the Women's History Month a program at Soul Vegetarian Restaurant, and then people ordered the things they wanted. We gave them the appetizers so they could taste what some of the vegan food is like, because many of us don't eat vegan, and many of us have very negative ideas about what vegan really is. So we offered the appetizers on Sunday so people could taste what the food is like. And sure enough, they did start ordering. They did start ordering, and they did start ordering. And it was a very beautiful day. Let me tell you a little bit about what happened on that day. Let me go to another screen in just a moment. And we want to give a shout out to the people tuning in to the Queen Mother Speak Show. And let me just take a moment. Ooh, I see we have several comments that we'd like to be posting. Okay, here's one. Okay. And if you were born in the month of March, let us know. Okay, because we do have something special for you as long as you let us know that you were born in the month of March. Okay, let me go over to the slide that's going to talk about what happened on Sunday at the Women's History Month program. Just 1 second. We'll spring into there in just a moment. Wow, you know, we have so much stuff on our phone. It's amazing how much we get on our phone. So let me just go to what I'm looking for, because I thought it was right at the top. But here it is. Thank you for being there with me and for me. Okay. Oops, not that one. I have a Queen Mother site here, and we're going to that so we could speak on, where did it go? We'll try it again. We have a Queen Mother site that we can get to some information sometime there it is, sometimes very quickly that we need to get to. Okay, here we go. All right. One of the things that I'd like to deliver to you today is a poem by Maya Angelou. And let me just go to one screen for that. Okay, let's see. We're getting some more comments here. Thank you, Christine, for watching the Queen Mother Speaks show. She was also at the Queen Mother Speaks birthday party on Sunday. Okay, we're going to read this poem for you by Maya Angelou. It's one of my favorites. And let me say to you this, that Queen Mother actually had the pleasure of meeting our sister, Maya Angelou. We actually had the pleasure of meeting her at Hillside International Chapel and Truth Center in Atlanta, Georgia, which is my home church in the States, okay? And Maya was friends with our pastor, the Reverend Dr. Barbara King. And she would invite her over to Hillside from time to time. And that's how I got to meet her. And a couple of times I got a chance to sit down and have coffee with these marvelous, extravagant women. And I began to tell Maya how that as a child, I used to do poetry with my father. I was a daddy's girl. And so often, let me go to one since we're going like that. I was a daddy's girl growing up, okay? And I would like to go with my father everywhere that he would go. And Daddy, as you know, was a gospel singer. He was also a man of the cloth. And I just wanted to go everywhere with Daddy. And so Daddy wanted to know, well, what can you do, baby? Well, I didn't know anything about what to do, but I eventually found out that Daddy was wanting me to learn how to read. And guess what? I did. By age 3 or 4, Queen Mother was reading so that she could go with Daddy. And when I would go with Daddy, we would go to the various churches. And when they would give him a chance, he'd get up, he would sing, and then he would call me up. And he said, I'm going to call my baby up on stage in her own way. And I would get up to walk up to the pulpit. They would stack up these milk crates so that I could stand on them so you could see me over the rostrum. And I would read a scripture, or I'd do a piece of poetry. And that's where Queen Mother really learned about speaking. I got all of my validation from the church, because as you would say something and you would speak, they would speak back to you, and they would just encourage you to speak. So I was never shy about speaking because I learned how to speak from being in the church. So right now, Queen Mother would like to do this piece for you by Maya Angelou. Oh, and one other thing I'll say about her, I let her know how much I admired her work and how much I admired her as a person, and that one day I would like to recite some of her poetry. And she said to me, "Go ahead, Queen Mother, go ahead." So as I speak this poem to you of I Rise from my dear sister Maya Angelou, I'm giving it to you as my Women's History Month treat. And still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with such gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got all wells pumping in my living room. Hey, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed down and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awfully hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but guess what? Like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Wow. Out of the huts of history shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wonderfully clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that I gave my ancestors. I am the dream. I am the hope of the slaves. I rise, I rise, I rise. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me and allowing me to indulge you with that beautiful speech with that beautiful piece by Maya Angelou. I've heard it spoken many times, and I've heard it spoken by many people, and I'm very happy that I was able to speak it with you here and now today. Okay, let's see what time are we having now. So right now, we're going to bring everybody back into the studio. And as we do that, we're going to start talking about what happened over the weekend in Nairobi, Kenya, with the Women's History Month program and the birthday party. Let's talk a little bit about the birthday party. Tabaka, you want to tell us what that was like for you? And we had about, I'll say, 50, 60 people who showed up on Sunday. And I'd ask people not to bring any gifts, just to come along and drop something in the hat for the fun for the flooding in Kenya. Tabaka?
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see a lot of different faces, meet new people. It was just a collection of different people from different ages, different times, different seasons, young, elderly, different social strata. So it was really good to meet everybody. It was really good to see people try vegan food for the first time, to have their mind open up to that type of eating. And I really enjoyed the food and the company and the singing and dancing.
Indeed, we did. You know, we danced up a storm. We really, really did, because we had asked everybody to work on their Jerusalem dance in advance. We do have videos of all of that. We don't have them with us right now, but we will show you some clips of that perhaps during the week. Just haven't had time to put everything together, but various people sent us clips and we danced our butts off, and we did have a very, very, very nice time. We also had 5 different women on the program speaking to us for Women's History Month. And I'm just going to share with you a little bit about who they are, okay, and some of what, I hope it's still here. Some of who they are. Okay, well, I guess what? Okay, I'm not seeing it, but I can tell you who they are. You know, it's one thing about depending on technology, and it's another thing depending on what you have. So I was looking for the technology, but I'm the one who put the thing together. So it's all in my head. So in my head, let me talk about the 5 women who came out on Sunday and spoke for Women's History Month at the Queen Mother Speaks celebration. The first one I'd like to speak about would be a young lady by the name of Jane Mwangi. Jane Mwangi. Jane is the president, chairman of an organization here in Kenya that's called Crown Women Rising. And each one of these women are in place, one of these organizations, I should say, are in place, right, for the empowerment of women. And Queen Mother either sits on the board of these organizations, or she's an advisor or a consultant to them. So Jane came in on Sunday and she spoke to us about why women should invest in youth and why women should invest in other women. And in her particular presentation, one of the top points that she made is often it may not appear that you are investing in another woman, but you really are when you're taking time to be with them. You really are. When they ask you a question and you spend time with them, you really are when you choose to take them on as a mentor. Often I'll have people come up to me and they'll say, I would like for you to be my mentor. And usually I say, yes, I will. But then I've also decided that the mentees also have to come to the board with some form of responsibility. The mentees have to come to the board with some form of responsibility. If you want me to take you on, then you got to put something in the game as well. And that was the point that Jane was making. She was talking about how times in our family with our youth, how that they can act up and act out. And you don't want to have anything to do with them or very little to do with them. Okay. But she went on to say that it's up to us to invest in them. And it really, really is. Thank you, Jane, from Crown Women Rising. Crown Women Rising has chapters in about, I'm going to say, 5 different African countries. And they also have chapters in America. Thank you, Jane. Thank you very, very, very much. The next lady I'd like to speak about who was on the program is one by the name of Sarah Munyi. Sarah Munyi. And yes, I am pronouncing that correctly. Sarah is the president, if you will, or the chairman of WIA. I'm sorry, she's not WIA, she is YIA. YIA is Youth in Africa. Youth in Africa. And they have chapters in about 50 some countries in Africa. And Queen Mother does sit on that board. And the Youth in Africa speaker for the day talked to us about power, stepping into and owning our own power, right? And often we don't see ourselves as having power, but we do. I'm going to share with you a recent incident in my life when I felt my power draining out and draining away. As you well know, we're deep in the throngs of fundraising for the the flood victims in Ghana. And we had one situation where some funds was embezzled from the monies we've been raising thus far. And I'm not going to go deeply into how much that affected me or how much it was. None of that is really important. What really is important is the fact that that thing weighed on my heart so heavy. And I was very angry. I was very bitter. And I even wanted to do something to the person who did it. And so I went to my pastor and I was talking about it with them. And they said to me, "We will pray with you, Queen Mother." And they did. And they pray with me regularly because this situation hasn't been resolved. But one of the things I got in touch with for myself is that I'm going to have to forgive. Why? Because if I don't forgive, that's going to continue to be a weight in my life. So one of the things that Sarah Mounier was speaking about was the power of forgiveness, as for not only just young people, but for all of us. So I had to reach out and reach into my consciousness and work on forgiveness so that that thing didn't present itself as a heavy weight in my life. And I want you to know that God did bless me. We did get some forgiveness. We're still working on it. It's not all out of me yet. But I can say that I have been blessed to have some compassion so that and first off, I had to forgive. In the act of forgiving, I got some of my power back. And that's what I want to share with you today, is that in the act of forgiving, we can get our power back. So that's what the second speaker spoke on. The third speaker was Madam the Honorable Margaret Toyley, who is known as Ghana's gender female champion. This woman has balls. I've said it to her. I'm saying it to you. I don't meet very many Kenyan women like the Honorable Margaret Tolley. She reminds me of the power of African American women, because we will say what's on our minds. We will tell you what's going on. We've never had problems with doing that, and we're still doing that even now. So she spoke about the injustices from a gender perspective that happens to women in this country. And the biggest thing that she wants us all to know is that we need to unite. No matter who we are or where we are, we should work on uniting ourselves one to the other and helping each other, but also giving each other a space for forgiveness. So it's very interesting that in the theme this year, Invest in Women, that what I'm hearing from a lot of the women speakers is a lot of that investment need to be right back into ourselves as friends, as neighbors, as family.
Hey, Queen Mother,
Yes.
did you see about a year ago on Instagram, dealing with what you're talking about, how there was a battle between white women and Black and Hispanic women about Black and Hispanic women supporting each other's businesses, and then white women were coming on Instagram and they were crying and they were mad that Black women and Hispanics were supporting each other, and like when we talk about certain types of feminisms where maybe some feminist agendas from the Caucasian community are actually negative towards Black women, and there's some so it's like within the feminist movement, like have you seen the division between I guess races of women when it comes to feminism, how a one group of women, like white women, have access to a certain amount of power that Black women don't? And I just like to hear your opinions on that too.
Thank you for that. And I will say, yes, I have seen that tension that can arise between women. You see, in America, and I can speak from there, during the days of us out there seeking to get rights and opportunities for minorities. And at the particular time, it was basically talking about Black people from the beginning, as you may well know. But eventually, they threw other things into the pot, like women from other ethnic groups into the pot that was for us. Now, I think a lot of why people start fighting, because sometimes those pots get money. And if that pot says it's a Queen Mother Speak pot, and you're there on behalf of voting, then you may have a problem, because you may want the majority of the money to go for voting, and Queen Mother Speaks may want the majority of the money to go for one of the projects she may have, let's say dealing with people with disability. So it's sort of like gave opportunity, if you will, for the women to start fighting amongst each other. But that's one thing we do have to fight against. We do have to fight against that. And we have to continue to ask for the funding for all of these various things that need funding. So I think that it was a divide and conquer effort when they put us all together and talking about minorities or talking about women. Something else I've also noticed, Tabaka, is right here in Kenya with Kenyan women and African American women. I've noticed some of the tension, if you will, that seems to be there. Being that I've been in the classroom and teaching students, I don't mean tension in that way. I mean tension that may come because a person may say, well, you American, you got this, you got more, or you American, you had it better. Really? So it is an opportunity during Women History Month for women to begin to talk and fellowship against each other on the areas that they are uncomfortable in. And we are uncomfortable in a lot of areas. At one point, the African woman would sort of like get a little not happy with African American women who may wind up marrying the African man. But if you look at statistics, the statistics prove the white women marry more African men than African American women. Yet we were the ones that they were upset with. So sometimes getting a balance is about people dealing with reality, or people dealing with truth, or people dealing with fact. Now that word truth is variable, because truth is based on who you are, where you are, what you've learned, and how you've been acculturated. But let's not talk about the truth. Let's talk about the fact. Okay, I think Coach Ra is back. Let's bring her in now. She is back. Let's get her in here. Okay, so now, so we found out that even though they were angry, what was their anger really based on? Not a I hear. Okay, Ra, I don't know what
No,
that noise is, Ra.
I'm gonna mute, but I wanted to add one thing. Communication.
Please go ahead.
We need to communicate more. That's the problem. Miscommunication. And then the next step is listening, and then understanding, and then being able to repeat back what the person has said and try to reach a happy medium. But communications between African women, American women, Latino women, all types of women, with the brothers too, is very much required. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Those are very important points. Communicating and listening. You're very right. They both are very important. And they're important at all times. And I'll just say this, even in communicating with Coach Ra, as we work on various things, including the Queen Mother Speak show, sometimes we get our communication a little off, but we continue to communicate to bring it back into existence. And then the other part about listening, oh my goodness. The part about listening is so very important to what the other person is saying, because often, and sometimes when I'm even talking to my own sister, I'm just talking, and she'll say, Queen Mama, wait a minute, you didn't hear me. And then I'll have to stop and listen and say, you know what? You're right, I didn't. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We have some few minutes before the show is over for today, but I want to talk a little bit about coming into my 73rd year, what that felt like for me. And at age 70, we had a huge celebration, as some of you may very well know. I think Coach Rob was involved with that. But coming into 73, some of the things that I've noticed for myself is I like to sleep a little more than I used to. I really do. I don't always take that nap, but I want to sleep a little more. And that's a good thing. I've also noticed that when I'm out walking, people are passing me. They're passing me by. And I'm like, why are they passing me by? I'm walking fast. So what I've come to realize is that at age 73, I don't walk as fast as I used to. And I don't pass people the way I used to. Coach Ra, we're going to ask you to be still. Be still. That movement is not good for the screen. Or I'm going to, we're going to, that movement, let me come back to one. Okay. And let me, so I can go back to 2. Oh, not 3. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, I was trying to move her out of the studio because she was having a lot of movement, and it wasn't good for what we're trying to do. Okay, well maybe she's frozen. Looks like she's frozen at this moment. All right, so now that's what happened to me at age 73. I will say to you, one of the things I've learned that I can do, and I'm going to share this with you, things that you like. I'm not very, very big on sweets, but I eat them. Okay. Not very big on them. So instead of me eating a lot of cake at the birthday party on Sunday, I bought me some cake home. By the way, I had 5 cakes. 5 cakes. 5 delicious cakes. Okay. And I brought some of those cakes home with me and froze. Not the whole thing, just slices. So I can eat a slice later in the month instead of eating it all at once. So that's one of the things I wanted to share with you that I've learned at my wisdom at age 73. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in portions, or you can do it in seasons. As we are nearing the end of the show, Tabaka, is there anything else you would like to say about the Women's History Month, or anything else you'd like to say about the flood, which we haven't talked about yet? Anything you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, I definitely think in spirituality, women are underrepresented. I think that's a big conflict with women. That's why a lot of women disagree with each other, because their cultural icons are from Europe. And so if you're spiritually worshiping and praying to a deity that's white, the father and son, there's no mother, there's no daughter. And these are concepts that developed. They didn't start off as just, as father and son. We're just guys hanging out in heaven, where the women are just like, what are they doing? They're probably down on earth sinning or something. But it's just like, it's a man party in heaven. The angels are men. And so these concepts were pushed over time. And other concepts that had women incorporated in them were slowly pushed out. And so I think that within us coming out of Christianity, or understanding Christianity from a cultural perspective, I think that a lot of women, so like, why are African women angry at African American women for taking their men? And most African women are praying to a white man, and so their subconscious perspective of a black man is not as high as a white man. And so to lose a black man to another black woman is not as good as giving your black man to a white woman, because white people are better, in the subconscious way. So subconsciously,
Let me just hello, Josephine, Queen Mother speaking. We're live on the Queen Mother Speak Show. She's calling in to say happy birthday and welcome to the Queen Mother Speak Show. Thank you, Josephine. We'll call later. We are live on air. Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge Miss Josephine calling in from the village in Ghana, saying hello, wishing us a happy birthday and also wishing us a happy Women's History Month. Tabaka, I will say to you, that these are some of the issues and some of the discussions that we do want to have on the Queen Mother Speak Show. Definitely, that's what this is about, as well as the Bonga Dada Bonga Show. These are some of the issues that we want to discuss. And this whole thing of religion, I'll tell you, I began to research into other religions. I grew up in Christianity. And we lived just a few doors away from a holiness church. So I got a chance to experience that side of Christianity, as well as in the Baptist church, but also visited the Methodist church, the Catholic, all of them. I visited everything inside of Christianity. Then I started visiting things outside of Christianity, whether it be the Hare Krishnas or the Nam Myoho Renge Kyos, right? I've even had the opportunity to go to Israel and meet with and be with the Hebrew Israelites. So I've learned a lot by opening up my mind, if you will, by opening up my mind, okay, to accepting other things and not just everything that I learned in the Christian church. So again, that is another strong area for us to begin to talk about in terms of religion and women being in religion. I remember as a child, how the women were not fully accepted 100% into all of the various roles in the church. We were relegated to doing the cleaning and the cooking and the teaching and the taking care of the babies. And not that a woman could actually be in the pulpit, but that has changed in many of the religions. But I don't know if this changed in people's hearts. You may see a woman there, but I don't know if people have accepted it.
Yeah, I think the woman being a important part of the church and the religion is important, but in her psyche, she's missing from divinity because she was taught she was out of divinity. So it's the woman's fault, man failed. You know, it's kind of these metaphors that were blown out of proportion. And I see where the value system of Black women are so messed up because there's no female representative within their spiritual belief systems anymore. We got majority of African Americans are Christian, and majority of Africans are Christian, and they're.
I don't know if the majority of Africans are Christians.
Most to get to this level of industrialization, and you know, as far as I see, everywhere I've seen, Africa is heavily Christianized. Heavily.
Yeah, Africa's been heavily proselytized. This is true, but I don't know if it's to the point where it's the most. We can check it. Research will tell us.
Well, you'll find in most of the populated cities, everybody has conformed to the Western image of dress. For instance, you look at the Muslim community dresses in Muslim clothes. But you look at the non-Muslim communities that interact within the economic sphere and the industrial sphere, they're dressing like Christians. So if they're not Christians, they're still adapting to Christian thought processes without the religion. And that's just as bad, you know, because it's not innovating in the world, you know, it's not.
Do you think, Tabaka, that perhaps in the last 10 years that women have really been waking up themselves, taking on, studying more about themselves from all different areas of life, whether it's, well, for the most part, we'll say health. But also I'm noticing in my conversations with women across the the board, is that many of them are not accepting a lot of the information that they're getting from the doctors anymore. A lot of them are not really accepting, or they are interpreting scriptures differently than what we used to. Listen, we're getting to the point where we are at the 6 o'clock hour. Queen Mother likes to start the show on time and end the show on time. But since it is our show, we can always pick up and start from wherever we choose to. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Queen Mother Speak show today. Every Wednesday, every week, live at 5 p.m. Kenya time, 2 p.m. Ghana, 9 a.m. New York, 6 a.m. California, 3 a.m. I believe Hawaii time. We did not have on the show today the things that we intended, but what we got was good. Tamaka, I want to thank you for being there and being with me in studio today. I didn't expect that my co-host would be here, but when I called him, he said, yes, I like that. And I thank you for that, because I recognize that, A, you didn't have to, but you did. So you honored me for that. I honor you back. I thank you. Stay tuned every Wednesday, every week. This is Queen Mother Speaks. Have a great day. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week.